Well, we'll try again. Something just happened that I don't believe ever happened as long as I've been doing videos. I started the video at 1:44, and it was a 15.5-minute video. And when I went to save it, it disappeared. And then when I went to open Windows Movie Maker to start over again, Windows Movie Maker was dead, and I had to reboot it a couple of reopen it, close it, and reopen it a couple of times to get it to even work. That's very strange. Never happened before. So I'm not going to be able to totally do a total remake of what I just did, but I'll make another video. I guess I have no other choice. I do want to say what I said earlier. I had planned today to do a video with Karen Collin, who spent a long time actually in Indonesia with Mr. Sugi and the Indonesian people. She is back in Austria, and she asked for one more day to get caught up with things back home, and asked to do it tomorrow. However, tomorrow is Aristo's day, and so hopefully I'll be able to connect with her on Sunday, or I'm sorry, on Saturday. And then on Sunday, as I mentioned in the previous video, it was requested that I do a talk show or something with an Italian people from Italy, and this will be their first one in English. So I don't know that I don't know if that's going to be. That's probably not going to be for my video for Sunday. But in any case, that I had written this blurb when I heard back from Karen that she just didn't feel up for doing one today. So I came up with this title: Are Some People Simply Unsatisfiable? And the blurb I wrote goes like this: The comments and complaints of some of the most persistent critics of Swiss Indo are no longer seen because I chose to shield myself from what I was perceiving as abuse. However, not every critic was cut off. It was hoped that yesterday's conversation would be helpful, especially to the critics. Not true. One man wants to know, for example, where did the money come from, even though that information has been provided all along in the history of banking, an Asian perspective, and I do include the link again. Following Melvi's professional example, I will submit a list of questions to Mr. Sugi and request a conversation in which he might choose to answer some of those questions with an interpreter, which I will make available to the public. That's not the way I normally do my videos. Even if he chooses to answer every question truthfully, I suspect there will be those who will still not be satisfied. Perhaps these are those who simply cannot discern the difference between truth and the fraudulent ways of the current world. Yes, I suspect that there might be people that have been so wounded and superimpose those wounds and the problems associated in their lives with those wounds that they cannot see any solution without seeing the problems that solution might entail. And they get so wrapped up in the problem that they become irritants to those of us that are trying to see the solutions and work with the solution-oriented process rather than always addressing problems. Now, an individual whom in the previous video I didn't know till I got to the very end whether it was a man or a woman. I realized at the end that this was written by a lady named Vicky from Australia who commented on yesterday's video that I did with Rena and Peter and of course myself talking about Swiss Indo. Now I do want to mention what I did say also in the other one just before I went on to create the first version of this video. I noticed a comment by Rena about the Office of Military Development and a thread there on, I guess it's on the delegates, Swiss Indo delegates information Facebook page. I'm not even sure that that's where it was. But anyway, that's another topic that I'm definitely interested in pursuing further. So That's an upcoming video at some point in the future. The letter from Vicky goes like this about the one we did yesterday, the 1 hour conversation. Well done, I was able to tune in. Great show, hope you guys do more. Peter Van Runt has a radio show on Friday nights here. It would be good if you could go on that too. Yes, I'm aware of Double Dutch Radio. Peter's on that, and so is Colin and Rena. And, oh God. Anyway, the fella from Holland, I know him, and I'm sorry, your name is drawing a blank, but he's the one that actually interviewed me when I was on that show back, well, I don't know, 2 months ago now, maybe. I don't really know exactly how long a time ago it was. Continuing on with her wonderful letter. Also, I was thinking that you guys, say you, Rena, and Peter, go on the Vinnie Eastwood show and discuss the state of affairs. He has a huge audience. They are mostly alternative, but their comments are not always supportive. Indeed, I've been on the Vinnie Eastwood show once, a couple years ago myself, probably 2011, and I fell asleep and overslept the starting time and missed the entire first hour. So I doubt that Vinny would want to do another program with me, since I messed him up on that particular one. We did get back on for the second hour, but but anyway, it probably left a bad taste in Vinny's mouth toward me, and I understand that and apologize, Vinny, but it's the way it was that day. Anyway, back to this letter. What I do is I only scan the comments for a general feel of how infiltrated the audience is, like a spiritual surveillance camera, but I never engage in dialogue because it's too distracting from the issue at hand. When I'm viewing something that I'm trying to access for authenticity, I never view the comments until the end if I think it is necessary. There are lots of radio shows that have fairly open-minded listeners who are aware that something is wrong with our reality. Methinks that this Swiss Indo animation now needs to be heralded to the greater community. So do I, Vicky. This is the part that links with today's title and topic, generally speaking. Don't worry about the detractors, as there is nothing we can do about them, and we can't spend our time on them because that would keep us on a treadmill designed by the Illuminati. The detractors will come with us when we show them the new paradigm will not harm them. They are our burden now, but they will eventually become our greatest supporters. I think you're right. That resonates with me. And as I said previously, I think a lot of people have just been so wounded and so jaded by the current system that they're just not able to see any solution without projecting the past and the old wounds onto the new way of looking at it. They're not able to see the new way. All they can see is the wound and the problem, and they end up being detractors. But I do believe that many of these people want what is right and what is best. I'm sure they do. And it's never my intention to block people, but sometimes for my own sanity, I have to. And I followed Aristo's advice. I don't block everybody. It depends on how persistent they are and how much under my skin they're able to get, because I need to be able to focus on solutions and not be constantly worrying about all of the questions and all the concerns that people have, some of which they ask over and over again, and even when you tell them the answer, they don't believe you. And so it gets very frustrating, and I would rather not to have to deal with too much of that frustration where I feel overwhelmed. And I don't know, I have not created the list of questions yet for Mr. Sugi. I suspect he will approve of doing a conversation together. And hopefully we will be able to get the video aspect of it. Creating the video yesterday on Zoom was a different experience, and I liked the way it came out. There was a lot more clarity than there is on Blog Talk Radio, and it was even better than creating it than just creating it the way that I normally do on Windows Movie Maker. So there was something to be said about the Zoom experience, and certainly it's better than the connections that I've been getting on Skype. Skype is probably infiltrated too, and creates some interference problems, and certainly some connectivity problems that hopefully won't be there with Zoom. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of what I read in the previous video in relationship to what Vicky wrote about. I read her entire letter. I've only gotten about a little over halfway through it right at this point, probably about 60%, and I'm going to leave the other 40% and not read it. Maybe make this a little bit shorter than the one that I had made previously. In any case, I do want to see people's questions answered. I do want to see the issues and the concerns that people raised resolved. I do want to see people's needs met. I mean, that's what it's all about, folks. But I don't want to see myself worn thin. And I don't want to see others constantly under attack. And as I've said previously, if you're not satisfied with what you're hearing, just put it on a back burner and step away from it, and maybe you'll get there at some point. But attacking is not going to resolve the issue. If you can't determine at this point in time that we have good hearts and we're coming from a good place, and if you can't determine that Mr. Sugi is coming from a good place, well, we're going to give you more opportunities, but I don't know what it takes. As he said in the interview with Mel V, he doesn't want a repeat performance of what happened after Kennedy was killed and Sukarno was put on house arrest, which I suspect he was also forced to sign papers because he had, I believe, when I heard the reports from Karen Hudas and perhaps, I don't know if anyone else ever said that or not, but that Sukarno signed over the rights to the collateral accounts to Ferdinand Marcos. Marcos was a pawn of the Illuminati. He would have had no legitimate right from a spiritual point of view to have that. He was not a man of good heart. At least that's my perception of him in the past. He's of course gone now. But I believe that would have probably been a forged document or something that was being forced to sign and not legitimate. Mr. Sugi is the legitimate signatory. I'm convinced in my heart. If you're not yet, that's your problem. We will answer questions in a progressive fashion, in a process of revealing things when it's the timing is right to reveal them. And it's not that we're holding things back. It's just that it takes time to develop these things. We're not going to be overwhelmed and try to answer everything all at once, because I for one can't do that. But I do appreciate the comments like Vicky's and those of you that stand with us and combine your energy with ours toward a solution-oriented process rather than dealing all the time with problems. As Peter said, in the delegation, there were times that we were at each other, people attacking each other, people criticizing each other, and that was part of the process too. So I understand that we're not all going to get on the same page, even when we all have the same intent, and everybody on the Swiss Indo delegation has basically the same intent to create a better world for people. But yet, even with that common intent, it wasn't always easy to work together. So folks, be patient. Be patient. This thing is an unraveling process. It's an unfolding process. And it's bringing about the thing that resonates with the cry of the human heart, the collective cry of the human heart to be free. The collective cry to be in a world where truth and justice means something, where there can be real peace and real prosperity for everyone, where all of the issues that we have can be healed, and where we're not unsatisfiable, but where we can find a level of satisfaction, a level of peace, a level of fulfillment in knowing that, hey, finally, the longing of my heart can be met. Finally, I can be in a world where I'm honored and respected and heard and seen and known. May we all find that level of fulfillment, because that's the level of world, the kind of world that I've been working for, and that the delegates work for, and that many that don't even know about Swiss Indo are working for. And I believe it's where all of us want to go deep inside. Thank you for listening. And again, it's about a 15 and a half minute video. Namaste. Hopefully this one won't disappear.